Hey guys, there's some news regarding the vampire counts. First, starting off with the campaign, they do say that once you move off of your corrupted terrain, you're going to suffer attrition. So this seems very much like the Zerg and the Creep, so I'd be interested to see how that limits you and how it plays out and kind of forces your hand on the campaign map. Going to be an interesting mechanic. They also confirmed that there are no ranged weapons at all for the vampire counts. They are instead going to have to rely on sandbaggy units and then their powerful elite troops, just like the tabletop. Then, in addition, CA once again brings up the fact that you can resurrect extra units of zombies and skeletons both on the battlefield and on the campaign map. Then we dive straight into the unit roster. So first, starting off for the lords, you have a Master Necromancer shown on the right, and then a Vampire Lord. So these are two legendary lords shown in the back. The Master Necromancer presumably is going to be able to have all kinds of crazy spells, resurrect the dead, and do all kinds of cool stuff. I imagine even having campaign bonuses for recruitment, whereas Vampire Lords are just going to kick ass. In terms of heroes, you have the Banshee shown left, Necromancer in the center, and then you could have a Vampire who's going to be a combination melee and caster in a specific lore of death, and then the White Knight, or King, excuse me, on the far right. What I'd be interested to see is seeing how these guys are like ghouls and ghosts and special units like that. Perhaps they're going to be immune to certain types of weapons, which would be really awesome if some units just can't touch these guys and you have to get some special forged weapons to deal with them. That would be an interesting mechanic, although perhaps broken. For mounts, we have the zombie dragon here looking super ferocious. I hope there's a special quest chain to unlock these guys. Then you have skeletal steeds on the left and a hell steed on the right that can go ahead and kind of shoot up into the sky and fly around. These guys are just devastatingly scary looking with the putrid bones and all that. And then finally you have a nightmare. We have not seen this guy in game. I've seen a couple models, but this is just a piece of concept art looking very scary, almost looking like something out of any typical horror movie, I was going to say, but Cloverfield in particular. Then you have the melee infantry, skeleton warriors, skeleton spearmen, zombies, basically a lot of squishy units. And then finally there's going to be the Graveguard and Graveguard variant with great weapons who are supposed to be a bit more stocky and sturdy. Again, we saw these guys in gameplay. They definitely played differently, and man, do they look glorious. And then you add on top of that Crypt Ghouls, which I think we saw previously, but not very closely. And then you have melee monstrous infantry like Crypt Horror shown left and Vargeist on the right. And look at how just freaky these guys are. One of the things I'm looking forward to is when they finally announce the Blood and Gore pack, just how crazy these guys are going to be when they attack you, popping off heads, drinking your blood. Oh man, CA is going to make these guys go to town, I hope. Melee Cavalry, you have the Black Knights with the Lance variant. Again, we've seen these. And then the Hex Wraiths. Hex Wraiths are essentially just going to be knights, but in a more ethereal form. They're going to be mostly kind of the ghost-looking guys. And again, I do hope that the Hex Wraiths they're kind of more immune to certain types of damage. The vehicle, only one has been confirmed so far, the Black Coach. This is essentially a unit that runs around buffing your units here and there, and that's mostly what the vampires are reliant on. They have relatively, small numbers of core elite troops, and the rest is going to be these fodder sandbaggy units that can fall apart at any time, and it's going to be really up to the Black Coach and other casters and necromancers to keep the unit cohesive and the army cohesive and running appropriately. So definitely going to be micro heavy. Melee War Beasts, we have the Direwolf shown in the back, also just grotesque. Fellbats shown here. And then melee monsters, we're going to have the Vargulf. There was a short spotlight video that CA put together for that, just like one of those 15-second things. So we got to see that guy a little bit, but not in combat. And then finally, the Terrorgeist did show up in this one image that we could see here. If you look on the far right, the Terrorgeist is on the right, floating amongst the bats. If you look at the bottom, the Grim Reaper looking guys, those are going to be Karen Wraiths, which are some of the heavy infantry. And then finally, CA added a note towards the end basically saying that this is mostly the roster that will be complete upon launch, but that we should expect a couple additional units, or at least one, come launch. So that was an interesting little comment seeing right through there. It does have me worried that they waited so long to release the vampire counts, and then here there's a disclaimer saying, yes, we're done, but expect to see more units tacked on. It makes me think that the vampire counts and perhaps the end of this game is being rushed, and that kind of is corroborated by the fact that this game has been pushed out by another month or two, which has me a little worried, but I know CA doesn't want to botch their launch, so we'll have to wait and see. Definitely hold off on those pre-orders. I would expect wait for everyone to get in their reviews, and then we'll see how this game comes out. But overall, it does look promising. I think the mechanics for the vampire counts looks pretty solid. Anyways, see you in the next one. Peace out.